After getting their get back on the Mavs, the Warriors are now 5-1 since the Jimmy Butler trade, and Andre Iguodala just got his jersey retired. Let's talk about it. First and foremost, shout out to PJ Washington for being a questionable decision maker we all know him to be, and giving Steph all the more reason to flame the Mavs. And also, shout out to Warriors legend Bradley Beal for making the Jimmy Butler heist possible. If it wasn't for you refusing to waive your no trade clause, Jimmy Butler would have been in Phoenix. So on behalf of Dub Nation, Bradley Beal, we thank you. But anyways, let's get back to this goofball PJ Washington. So as y'all remember, PJ Washington hit the Warriors with a night-night in an earlier matchup where they lost. He also did it again post-game. And which should be no surprise to anybody, Steph Curry took note. So with the Warriors up 20 in the third quarter, and Steph Curry deep frying the Mavs, Steph hit a dagger 3 and made sure PJ knew about it. Yo, correct me if I'm wrong, but this might be the earliest night-night celebration Steph Curry's ever done. But yeah, bro, it's crazy to me. When will these fools learn? Don't poke the sleeping giant, bro. We also had Draymond trolling the Mavs from the Warriors bench. The Warriors vibes are officially back, and I'm here for it. The Jimmy Butler trade completely changed the trajectory of the season. Let's hear what Steve Kerr, someone who was reportedly one of the ones against the Jimmy Butler trade, has to say about it now.
You know, Jimmy the game makes sense when he's out there. He gets to the line, he makes simple plays, keeps the game under control for us, and so you can feel the difference for sure. But I think we're a much better team now than we were 2 weeks ago too. I think just having Jimmy now here this is his 6th game, there's a better understanding of what we're trying to do. There's a better connection with the group. We've developed some confidence and some continuity at both ends. Yeah, you can tell our fans, see the difference. They feel the momentum just like we do. It was an important shift. The trade itself, we needed it. We felt it. We were kind of treading water, couldn't get any traction in the season, and Mike sensed it and made the move, and you can feel the shift. Sometimes you got to shake things up, and we shook things up, and just so happened that one of the best players in the league was available, and that doesn't happen very often. It was a move that made sense, and so far, it's showing why.
This was the first 3-game win streak for the Warriors since mid-November. Yo, some of these stats since the Butler trade is kind of crazy. In the last 6 games since the Jimmy Butler trade, the Warriors have an offensive rating of 122.9 with a defensive rating of 108.4. That's a plus 14.5 net rating. This is basically a whole new team. Not only has their offense got better like we all predicted, but their defense has actually vastly improved. The Warriors have been a top 5 offense and defense since acquiring Jimmy Butler. And we all know the measuring stick for a championship caliber team, a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. And if this current roster was to play out a full season, I think they would easily be top 10 in both. The Warriors lost on point of attack defense with trading Andrew Wiggins, but what they gained in return is a high IQ, insanely disruptive backline defense. Their help defense and rotations are insane. As Steve Kerr said, Jimmy Butler is basically a mini Draymond. Between both of their high IQs defensively, help defense instincts, ability to cover ground and disrupt plays, this Warriors defense, although on paper has gotten worse at point of attack, is a lot more connected defensively. And when you have elite help defense and crisp backline rotations, the need for a point of attack defender isn't all that great. Speaking of point of attack defense, that's been Brandon Podziemski's role since being inserted into the starting lineup, and he's thrived in that position. Poz has played a huge part in locking up not just Malik Monk, but now Kyrie Irving as well. He's not this super athletic elite point of attack defender, but what he is extremely smart. He has great anticipation and brings toughness. He competes and he brings physicality. He offers resistance and he's pretty strong, so you're not gonna go right through him. Even when he's physically outmatched, you know he's gonna execute the game plan. He's gonna funnel the offensive player to the help defense. That's where having Jimmy and Draymond comes in handy.
You talked the other day about point of attack defense and how much it needed to get better. How has it gotten better? Is that Brandon's drawing some tougher assignments now? You obviously have help behind him, as you pointed out the other day. What's the difference, I guess? What's getting better?
I think the difference is, Jimmy's kind of another Draymond behind the play. So he's constantly blowing things up, making the right rotations and reads, and that allows us to be a little stronger on the ball and cover up, behind the play. So Brandon is so smart, and he recognizes plays before they happen. And so the connection that he's got with Draymond and Jimmy, just making these reads, it's fun to watch. And, those guys, like I said, I think those 3 together, their defensive numbers are off the charts good. So they help each other, and then BP is constantly finishing the possession with a rebound. He's such a great rebounder. So it all seems to make sense with that combination.
The trio of Brandon Podziemski, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green have a defensive rating of 98.7, and with 108 minutes playing together spread over the last 6 games, they're a plus 58. It's crazy to think about, but it makes sense. We all know Draymond's one of the best defensive players of this generation, and one of the highest IQ defensive players of all time. And Jimmy Butler, I believe, has made 5 all-defensive teams in his career. Now, obviously, both those guys are older, and they're not in their physical defensive prime anymore. But the reason I point that out is to articulate the fact that these dudes are very, very high IQ defensive players. Everyone panicked that the Warriors no longer have a point of attack defender. Well, in spite of that, it looks like they're a better defensive team overall. Now let's finish up on Pods, because I did want to properly give him his flowers. In his last 14 games since returning from injury, Pods is playing 28.5 minutes per game. He's averaging 15 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1.4 steals. He's shooting 47% from the field, 36% from 3, 75% from the free throw line, with a 59% true shooting. And for the second season, in spite of that sophomore slump, he's leading the Warriors in plus minus again. That's not a coincidence when you factor in that he's also held up nicely as a point of attack defender, and he's also providing supplementary rim protection as a guard because of his ability to draw charges. I don't think people understand how valuable a charge is. You're turning the opposing player's drive to the basket into a forced turnover. That's extremely valuable. That's basically a block or a steal, with the added benefit of the opponent picking up a foul, which can help that player get into foul trouble or get the Warriors in a bonus faster. And once the Warriors are in a bonus, it makes them that much more harder to guard offensively, because now we know Jimmy Butler can draw contact at will. Also, I want to give a shout out to Moses Moody, who's been balling since being in the starting lineup. By the way, the Warriors are now 9-0 when Moses Moody starts. He's been given an opportunity and he's running with it. Offensively, he's found himself. He's knocking down his open threes, and he's attacking closeouts, finishing strong at the rim. Moody's a very willing scorer, which is something this Warriors team needs. They need a few guys with a little more of an aggressive scoring mindset, while also playing within the offense and making the right pass when needed. He's also been defending his off. And with Draymond and now Jimmy Butler behind him on the back line, he has way more margin for error at point of attack. He's been using his length nicely to contest shots. For those of y'all who don't know, Moody has a 7'1" wingspan. Just play straight up, play discipline, and force the other team to finish over your length. With the way Pods and Moody are playing, I see no reason to switch up the starting lineup, even when Kuminga comes back. JK's been out for over 2 months. It's going to be an acclimation process for him, so it's better to continue bringing him off the bench. And if he's playing good, he can close games. But I'm liking what I'm seeing from the starting lineup with Pods and Moody.
Brandon and Moses were playing well before the trade, but they've seemed to play even better since it. But what about playing alongside Jimmy has helped them?
The way Jimmy passes the ball, the way possessions settle down, we're just getting better looks. And so Moses' shots are all open. BP's getting wide open threes. The way Jimmy just handles each possession, I think he said, we just want to get a shot on goal every time. And that's exactly right. There's no reason to be in a rush, and Jimmy's never in a rush. And as a result, the ball starts to move, we break the defense down, and then somebody's getting a good look. So the game becomes much easier for the guys around him.
Next up, we gotta talk about Quinten Post. Yo, this kid is a legit marksman, man. I'm not even kidding, and this is not me overreacting, but he legit might be one of the best 7-foot shooters in the league. Great arc on his release, extremely fluid. He's a natural shooter. His shooting form for a 7-footer is perfect. He also hasn't missed a free throw yet this season. Yo, shout out to Money Mike for another great find. The fact that they got somebody with his skill set as a 7-footer in a late second round, that's absolutely insane. In a redraft, Quinten Post is for sure going in the first round. So that's ridiculous value in return on investment for the Warriors. Quinten Post is legit, and he's not just a 7-foot stiff out there that's a one-trick pony that can only shoot. When you watch him play, he's actually really smart, really scrappy, and really competitive. His celebrations be having me dying, bruh. The team's reaction to Quinten Post flurries is just amazing content. Like, the kid is hilarious. I'm not sure how he holds up in a playoff series, but he does bring something that's extremely valuable for this Warriors team. He brings a legit 3-point shooting threat from the center position, which allows Draymond to slide to power forward comfortably.
What is Quinten giving you right now?
Well, as we talked about, we don't want Draymond to play the 5 the entire game. So Quinten gives him the floor spacing that he needs to be the 4 with Jimmy at the 3. Quinten has just played really good basketball. It's more than just his shooting. He's smart, he's tough, he rebounds. It seems like a good fit. They've performed well pretty much every time we've thrown them out there, and it's something we'll keep doing for sure.
Also, Quinten Post and Jimmy Butler have amazing chemistry. Jimmy Butler gets 2 feet in paint basically at will, and his favorite kick-out target has been Quinten Post. I don't have the exact amount of times, but it feels like Jimmy Butler has found Quinten Post in a corner off a driving kick at least 5 or 6 times so far. And Quinten Post is money ball from the corners, bruh. Like, teams cannot leave him out there. And that adds a dynamic to this Warriors team they've never had. A 7-foot center that teams absolutely cannot leave in the corners. And not just the corners, anywhere on the 3-point line. You can't leave this kid. He has no hesitation to get that thing up, and he's confident with it. And he's probably gonna knock it down. Quinten Post is now 30 of 72 from deep in his 270 career minutes. That means he's hitting 41.7% on his threes on 9.6 attempts per 36 minutes. That's an eye-popping accuracy and volume combination for a stretch big. Yo, the Warriors got a legit marksman from the center spot, and it's obvious how much he opens up the floor for the rest of the team. Draymond, Jimmy Butler, and Steph are all huge beneficiaries from it. Post unlocks a lot of those lineups with Kuminga at the 3, where you compare him next to Jimmy Butler or Draymond comfortably. One last stat for you, the non-Steph Curry minutes. In the 51 games leading up to the Jimmy Butler trade this season, the Warriors were a cumulative -90 without Curry on the court. In his 6 games since he joined, with Butler's substitution pattern staggered with Curry's, allowing him to lead those units, the Warriors are a +30 with Curry off the floor. Yo, if you're telling me the Warriors gonna win in minutes with Steph off the floor, this team's winning the chip, bro. The Warriors' biggest vulnerability throughout this dynasty run has been the non-Curry minutes. But now with Jimmy Butler in the mix, a player that can carry his own units and amplify his teammates around him, not only with his playmaking, but his ability to erase mistakes defensively. We've literally seen Jimmy Butler drag Miami Heat teams that were filled with G League players to the finals. Finals. Those teams had no business being there, but because of Jimmy Butler's greatness and his ceiling and floor raising ability, he gets the most out of all his teammates. If it's not obvious by now, I love the Warriors' chances against anybody in the playoffs. There's no one matchup that really scares me. Denver might be the only team where I'm thinking that's a tough matchup, but even then, I feel like we could beat Denver. I don't know, maybe I'm just sipping the Kool-Aid, but I truly believe this Warriors team is going to do something special this season. All right, let's talk about Andre Iguodala, who's probably outside of Steph my favorite Warrior of all time. Congratulations to Iggy on the jersey retirement. The ceremony was dope. Bob Myers and Steve Kerr's speeches though was a little cringe, not gonna lie. But Steph Curry definitely came through in the clutch because his speech was amazing. He did a really good job of articulating Andre Iguodala's value to the team. My favorite quote from Steph Curry's speech describing Iguodala: he sacrificed ego for excellence. And that's huge. When Steve Kerr asked Iggy to come off the bench, he obviously didn't have to, but he understood what that sacrifice would mean to the team's success. And for an all-star player to do that, it set the tone for the culture. But anyways, that's all I got for y'all. If I entertained you or you learned something new, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. I'll holler at you on the next one. Peace.